This is a lonely road.
This is a lonely road. You're a man in your own. You're a man in his own class or own row. All right. So yeah. Oh, so we're graphing. That's right. We almost finished, and then the crazy website. It's all coming back to me now. Isn't that what happened? Didn't the website fail us?
Yeah. No, you said.
All right. Here we go. So we are wanting to graph. Write the equation. We're working backwards. That's right. Write the equation. Okay. How do you write the equation of the sine function that has the given characteristics? So, in general, it's going to be y equals a sine bx. Right? We just need to find the a and the b. So we're working backwards from information back to equation. So the homework, I'll make sure I'm clear on this. Homework 6.4 will be due tomorrow, Thursday. And tomorrow we're doing the practice exam, right? We're going over the practice exam. So if you want to look at it in advance, I'll solve them tomorrow in class is the plan. All right, so anyway, so how do we do that? What's the A? We've got to find the A and the B. What's the A? That's the 2, huh? That's just the amplitude. Let's put that right in there. The A is 2. Now, how are we going to find the B? There's a B there. What do we do? Yeah, period. The other formula is period equals 2 pi over b, huh? Period's 2 pi over b. And what is the period? Well, it tells us right here, 6 pi. So 6 pi is 2 pi over b. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
And then, so what do we do to solve that for b? Put this over 1, diagonal, diagonal. 6 pi times b is 2 pi. Good, just diagonal, diagonal there. And then how do you finish solving for b? Divided by 6 pi. B is, pi's canceled, 2/6. Reduce that, 1/3.
Could we just skip the step where you cross multiply and just switch them?
Just switch them.
The 6
Yeah, I guess that works, huh? Good observation. B's 1/3. So stick a 1/3 in there. So we have 2 sine 1/3. I feel like we did that one. So remember you saying the thing about the 3 flipping out making a 6? No, I remember you doing that. I remember. I'm a little senile, but I remember that.
Yeah.
All right, so we good. You know, we did all the graphs forward, right? We did that yesterday where they gave us equation, do the graph. We did that whole thing. Now, how is it? Yeah, good. We want to work backwards. So they're saying to us, okay, here's a picture. Can you give me the equation? So that's a little more tricky. How do you work backwards from a picture to an equation?
Well,
this is actually the most valuable. If you want to be like real life, like what would an engineer do in real life? They would observe something like electricity coming out of the wall, or the tides in the ocean in and out, or the orbits of planets, or the movement of, all kinds of things in life that go out, a carousel that goes up and down, anything engineers work with that go up and down, up and down. They would start usually with the graph, right? They would have a picture. They go, okay, we measured this thing coming out of the wall, or this whatever thing we were observing, and it went up and down and up, and they would draw the graph, and then from that, they would write an equation. This is actually the way it really works more in the real world. You don't start with an equation, right? The stuff coming out of the wall doesn't say to me, here's my equation. It doesn't say that. It just does its real life thing, and then, right, and then we say, the music just comes, and we try to put words to the music. We're trying to put equation to that picture. So that's how it really works. So how do you do that? How do you take something real like that and say, I want to make up an equation that fits reality? That's the purpose of math, huh? To fit reality. Math is just made up to help us fit reality. Why would you want to do that? Because then you can do all kinds of things. Once you have the equation, you can predict things in the future with the equation. You can do all kinds of things with the equation. So how do we do it? So first off, is it a sine or a cosine? Let's start there. Yes, how do you know it's sine and not cosine?
Because it starts at the origin.
Good job. So sine start at the origin. If it started high or low, like this or like that, then it would be cosine, wouldn't it? Low would be a negative cosine, high would be a positive cosine. So it's a sine. So I'm going to write, okay, it's y equals a sine bx rather than a cosine bx. Sine starts at the origin. So sine starts at the origin. Cosine starts high or low. Sine starts at the origin. Okay, so it starts at the origin, it's sine. What do you think the A is?
6.
But negative 6. Yeah, because it's flipped. Good job, guys. It's going down, and it went down 6 first, didn't it? So the A is negative 6. We good so far? Right? Sine graph goes down first, so this one's a negative 6. It's flipped. Amplitude is just how far it goes from the baseline. Right? It's going up and down 6 from the baseline, going down first. From the origin, it goes down first. Okay? So it's a negative 6 sine bx. We're almost there. All we need is the b now. How do we find the b?
Set it equal to.
Michael, did you get one of each of those? Take part 1, part 2. So yeah, what we need the period, right? Yeah. What's the period of this one?
3.
Period is how long until one cycle is completed. It starts here. It ends right there. Alex has got it. It's 3.
Oh,
Is
okay,
that
that's
4
one
right
cycle.
there? Okay.
Yeah, but that's further than one cycle. That's the trick. Everybody see this? This right here is one cycle. Everything else is repetition.
So the
Right.
next cycle will end at 6 then.
So the cycle, one cycle finishes at 3.
Yeah. Then it's
So the width of one cycle is from 0 to 3 is 3. So the period. Remember, period is width of one cycle. That's what period means. The width of one cycle. Right? After that, it's just going to repeat. Right? It went down and up. It's going to go, and then it's just going to repeat. Down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. Right? That's the whole story right here. It's just going to repeat that story again and again and again. That's its whole cycle. That's its whole life story. It just keeps doing that. Right? Down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. Right? So that's one cycle, which is the period. So what is that period? 3. The period is 3. So now we use the period formula. Period is 2 pi over b. Right? Remember the period? That's what you want to have 3 by 5 card. So stick the 3 in for period. Period is 2 pi over b. Now we can solve for b. Put this over 1, diagonal, diagonal. 3b is 2 pi divided by 3. b is 2 pi over 3. So this is negative 6 sine 2 pi over 3x. So we're able to take a picture, real life, something or other, and come up with an equation that will produce that graph, that fits accurately that graph. That's real life engineering, what they do.
Is negative 6 sine the same thing as negative 2 pi over 3 of x in terms of sine?
Oh, could you put the negative in here instead?
Instead of the front.
Right, yeah. Remember how sine is an odd function, so you can have the negative in here or in the front, it's all the same?
Those are equivalent.
Not both, though. You wouldn't have it out here and in there.
Just
One or the other. Those are equivalent.
okay.
Yes. Is that good? See how we did that then? So the whole key is finding the width of one cycle, right? That's the period. And then writing the period equals 2 pi over b to solve for b. Right? Good? So this gives people trouble on the test. Anything else I can say? Barbara?
If there's a negative after the sign, but before the parenthesis, and then there's a negative inside before the 2 pi thirds, and then minus whatever.
I'm getting lost.
Well, sometimes when I see weird ones, like if it's
Where?
if it's negative 6 sine negative parenthesis negative 2 pi over 3.
Ooh, wait. Another negative?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like this?
Yeah, and then
Wow,
you
you're
subtract
making
2.
awful problems. I
don't
should
know,
ask you to make the
sometimes it
test
does
questions.
that. Sometimes I see it and then I panic, and then I start distributing the negative, and then I found, okay, now it's positive 2 pi 3, and what if it's like subtract 1?
These two negatives would just be positive, right? Two negatives multiply right there to be positive.
Okay, and then I still have to distribute a negative it had like a +1 or +2 inside the parentheses.
Show me whatever problem you have.
I'm just
I'll be
saying,
glad to-
like a template, like not like,
That
you
wasn't
know what I mean? It's not on there, but I'm just saying if you decide to throw us a
You're not going to do any of
curveball.
that.
I never throw curveballs.
I don't know.
just wanna
this
be
last
over-prepared
exam,
for
you
it.
just throw a curveball and it kills me.
It's like it's a visual tricky, like it's like hidden. You know what I mean? If
I
something,
can't think of a homework problem we had like that.
No, it's not homework. It's just like if it's
It would be like negative 6 sine 2 pi over 3 minus 1 outside of the parentheses.
Oh, outside the parentheses?
Or even
That would be
inside
like
the
a-
parentheses.
like
So to do the whole shifty.
Yeah, inside the parentheses, we're not going to go there. That's a phase
Okay.
shift. Yeah, we're not going to mess with that.
Oh, then-
Outside the parentheses we did do though. That's up down.
Yeah, outside
right.
the
That moves the midline, the
Okay.
baseline. Yeah, yeah. Inside the parentheses, a phase shift. We're not getting that messy.
Good guessing skills.
Take you a long way in life. All right, so try that one. Figure out. So see if you can write the. I wouldn't even. I mean, you can leave it option if you want to, but just take that thing and try to write the equation.
Just figure it's the coefficient. Oh, 6, 7 there. Duh. So
There's only one that works out of all of them already.
Oh yeah,
It's F.
it's pretty
Yeah,
easy,
F,
huh?
yeah.
Nice. You are good guessing skill. Well, that was knowledge. Yeah. I mean, Raul's right on the money. It's going up to 6/7.
So that's my first.
So it's got to have 6/7 in the front. There's only 2 of them that even have 6/7 in the front. We know it's cosine because it starts high. So ball game over.
It's like the letter grade I'm gonna get for my final.
Uh-oh. We don't want that.
Just kidding.
Is that good? That making sense?
Good guessing
And then the
skills.
cycle
Everything
would
makes sense.
be
No, if only the test would be that easy.
Let's now. What if? Yeah, I know, because probably I'll make it a little more challenging than that. That was goofy. Let's suppose we didn't know the period and we had to find it.
Okay.
Let's do that. So we know right away it's 6/7 cosine bx, right? Now we already actually know the b turns out to be 4 pi, but suppose we did it. Could you find that? How would you find that? Give that a try. Make sure you can do the period thing because it might be required on the test.
Be 2 pi over b.
Yeah.
Um,
That's not tough at all. It's 1 over half.
Yeah. What's the cycle? What is a full cycle for cosine? It starts high, finishes high. There it is. Half. So the period is a half, isn't it? Is that good? That's one. So cosine, it's a U shape, high to high. Sine, it's high and low, 0 to 0. So anyway, so the period equals 2 pi over b. Put in the half. A half is 2 pi over b. Cross multiply. B 1 times b is 2 times 2 pi. So b is sure enough 4 pi. So we could have done that ourselves, huh? Good? All right. All right, try that one.
Is that 1/3? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's so we
That's,
One-third.
it's not shifted. I don't know why there's.
That one's a little tricky. Be careful.
2 pi over b. 1/3. B equals 2 pi.
It's not. Oh, there's only one that it could be.
B equals 6 pi. So, oh, this is a +1. Right.
Okay, this is a harder one.
Aren't both of the bottom ones the exact same thing?
It's,
Would it be a cosine?
The-
That's a cosine.
That's got a plus
No,
one. That's what
one-
minus
one
one.
is
Oh
minus.
man.
Uh,
I see what you're doing
It's a
over there.
cosine
You're throwing
field.
illusions on here now.
And then it's a cosine field.
Okay, so where's remember the midline, baseline, midline, whatever you want to call it, midline, probably better name, is really important. Where's the midline? Where's the middle?
It's already flipped. But yeah.
First off, let's get the midline on there. Right? Remember, the sine and cosine graphs go above and below them. There's the sine, cosine. They go above and below the midline, don't they? So if you can't see the midline, you better put it in. So what does it look like the midline is on this one? Looks like it's up at 1, huh? So the midline is up here. Yeah, well, how do we know? Because this is 2 and 4. Look at the marks, right? The marks are going by 2s on that axis. So this is 2, so this must be 1. So the midline's at 1. So that means there's a sine or cosine and a +1 at the end, huh? It's been moved up 1. So now, forget about the x-axis. Just focus on this midline. Pretend that's the only line there. So then ask yourself, is it a sine or cosine?
Cosine.
Is it sine or cosine? And it's all about being relative to that midline, not the... No, does it start right there on the midline? That's our new origin, right? It does not. It's cosine. You with me? It's actually a cosine. It's tricky, huh? Because it starts at the origin. No, it's shifted. It's a low starter. on its midline. You see, it's starting below its true midline.
The midline is always what's in
The midline is always what tells you, right? Because the sine and cosine go above and below their midline. The sine starts right on his midline. The cosine starts above or below his midline. Everybody making sense out of that? So it's a cosine starting below his midline. So what kind of cosine is that? It's a negative some kind of cosine. We good to there? So what is the, and what's the number in the front? How far above, what is the amplitude on this one? How far above and below its midline does this graph go?
2, 1, and 1.
Just 1, right? Because the midline's 1, it goes up to 2, down to 0. So the A is just 1. Negative 1, because it goes below first. Everybody with me so far? So that's a negative 1 cosine. A little tricky, huh? See, this is why this fools people on the test. I don't want to fool people, so I'm trying to be as upfront, but it takes a little practice. You got to spend a little bit of time thinking on these. They're a little tricky. So, all right, so again, the amplitude is how far above and below the midline. The midline's 1, so it goes up to 2, down to 0. So the amplitude's negative 1. Okay, because the cosine starts below its midline. Now, let's do the period. Period is the width of one cycle. So what is the width of one cycle? Where does one cycle
1/3.
begin and end? Yeah, right here to right here. It's an upside down U. That's one cycle. So period's 1/3. So the period, 1/3. Period, as you know, 2 pi over b. Because we still don't have it. There's a negative cosine here, and there's a negative cosine there. Both plus 1. It's not this one because this is negative cosine minus 1, and this is a sine. So we're down to these two, but now we still need to figure out the period to know which of those is right. It's a much harder question than the last one, huh? So period's 1/3. Put the 1/3 in there. 1/3 is 2 pi over b. Diagonal, diagonal. 1 times b is 3 times 2 pi. B is 6 pi. So there it is.
My guessing skill would have failed me on that one. Shit.
Questions on that one? Is that making sense now? So it's all about, when they've been shifted, finding that new midline and doing everything relative to that midline. A through G? No. That would not be very user-friendly. Test friendly. All right. So there, try that one. Oh, they made that one too easy.
Yeah.
You don't even need to find the period.
Is that 2 pi over 5?
Yeah.
That's, that, you know.
2 pi over 3? 2 pi over
5, yeah, 2 pi over 5, yeah. So, is this a sine or cosine?
Close.
Yeah. He starts low, ends low. His midline has not been moved. So, he starts low, ends low, which means he's a negative cosine, huh? It's a negative 7 cosine. Done. There's only one negative 7 cosine. So we don't even need to find the period. Well, let's do it for fun. It'll be fun. But it's not really needed. What is the period?
2 pi 5.
2 pi over 5.
2 pi over
We need to
b.
stop.
Period is 2 pi over b. Stick in the 2 pi over 5. 2 pi over 5 is 2 pi over b. Do I really need to solve that? Whoops. What's b got to be? 5. By clear observation. Right? I mean, you can do the formals if you want to. 2 pi b is 2 pi times 5. Then divide by 2 pi. Lo and behold, it's 5.
Man, I couldn't see that.
That's 5. So there we go. It was 5. Yeah, it's true. Good. One more.
Of those on the test, right?
There's a couple.